of Jesus say, Satan, your kingdom must come down.
Can I use this as a pivot point to ask you about your understanding of religion as a kid? Did you grow up in a religious family?
No, my mother was very suspicious of religion, particularly, I think that she thought the clergy, and she thought I think she was suspicious of people in a lot of ways. She thought they were phony.
All the people.
Everybody.
Most of them are.
Yeah.
And did any of your own thoughts fall neatly into some kind of religious framework?
No, it never made much sense to me. I think I inherited a lot of my mom's skepticism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe that's, in my DNA.
But then you went all in, Jeff. Not on Christianity, but you ended up converting to Judaism in large part, as I understand it, because your son was going through the process of being bar mitzvahed. Your wife is Jewish.
One of the things that our rabbi told our older son when he was being bar mitzvahed was, he asked our rabbi, what should he do if he doesn't believe in God? And his rabbi said, doesn't matter if you believe in God. What matters is that you search for the sacred. And that made sense to me. And in a way, you could take that as almost anything, look for beauty, look for whatever sacred means to you. And I thought that was really beautiful, and it felt like it was in line more than any experience I'd ever had in any organized religion. It felt more honest.
Yeah. Will You Love Me Tomorrow by Carole King. You wrote that there was a point when you were doing that song as an encore with Wilco, and it felt to you like the most honest that you could possibly be with an audience. Can you tell me why?
Well, because I had never written a song that expressed that as well. Fear of love being fleeting, of loving somebody more than they love you.
But will you love me tomorrow?
Early on in Wilco, there was a real sense of do I really get to do this?
I love you now.
Do I really get to do this thing that I love so much? And are you going to let me do this? Are you going to love me enough so I get to keep doing this? I was saying that very explicitly to the audience. Are you going to come back next time we play in town? Are you going to be, will you still love even after? Because I think there was also one of the things that is embarrassing to me about being on stage, still to this day, is that it's so clearly you wanting some approval.
Yeah.
And there's a nakedness to that, just by being willing to walk out on a stage, that nobody needs to psychoanalyze you. They just know, you wouldn't be up there if you didn't want me to show you that I love you.
Jeff Tweedy is the lead singer of Wilco, the author of the new book, World Within a Thorn. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're listening to All Things Considered from NPR News. Support for NPR comes from this station and from Focus Features, presenting The Holdovers. Paul Giamatti reunites with director Alexander Payne for the first time since Sideways, now playing in select theaters everywhere November 10th. From Indeed, designed to be an end-to-end hiring solution for businesses of all sizes to attract, interview, and hire candidates all from a single platform. Learn more at Indeed.com/NPR. From Fisher Investments. As a fiduciary, Fisher Investments is obligated to act in their client's best interest. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. And from listeners like you who donate to this NPR station.
time is 4:59. I'm Joey Hudson, and you're listening to Troy Public Radio. Join us tomorrow from 6 to 9 a.m. for Morning Edition. Guards in a Texas prison are accused of beating an inmate so badly he's in a coma. What would stop that kind of brutality behind bars? We'll take a look tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. right here on the listener-supported service of Troy University. You're tuned to 89.9 WTSU Montgomery, Troy, 88.7 WRWA Dothan, and 91.7 WTJB Columbus, Phoenix City. Tell your smart speaker to play Troy Public Radio and stream and support us at troypublicradio.org. Troy Public Radio, news and information by day, musical inspiration by night. It's 5 p.m. Central Time.
I drove my Toyota Yaris to the fields, and I managed to find
1 month after the Hamas attacks, a reserve Israeli general reflects on his unexpected role that day.
For Tuesday, November 7th, this is All Things Considered from MPR News. I'm Juana Summers in Washington.
I'm Mary Louise Kelly in Tel Aviv.
And I'm Elsa Chang in Culver City, California. Voters head to the polls today in a number of states, including in Mississippi. There, Democrat Brandon Presley is making his case to be the state's next governor.
A lot of folks in the Delta feel left out, and I want to make sure that they understand that their vote for governor in this race will, in fact, not only count, but make a difference in their life.
Also, a slew of French love letters from the mid-18th century have been opened for the first time.
I immediately felt like, my heart started to beat faster, and I felt like, there might be some secrets in there.
Now in the news.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Spear. Polls are closing at this hour in Kentucky, where the incumbent governor, Democrat Andy Beshear, is facing a challenge from the state's Republican Attorney General, Daniel Cameron. Meanwhile, elections being held in several states around the country today, including Kentucky, Virginia, and Ohio, could have major implications for abortion rights. NPR's Sarah McCammon explains the off-year elections are being seen as another test of the energy around the abortion issue.
It's been more than a year since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, and many voters in last year's midterms ranked abortion as a top issue in exit polls. And this year, Ohio voters are considering a state constitutional amendment that would guarantee the right to reproductive health decisions, including abortion, at least up to fetal viability. In Virginia, where control of the legislature is currently split, Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin has said he would support a 15-week abortion ban with limited exceptions if his party were to take full control. Meanwhile, Kentucky's Democratic Governor Andy Beshear, who's running for re-election, has gone after his Republican challenger's support for state laws banning most abortions in that state. Sarah McCammon, NPR News.
The federal government is set to shut down in 10 days if Congress doesn't approve a new funding plan. House Republicans met today to see if they can get on the same page. More from NPR's Eric McDaniel.
There's almost certainly not enough time to pass the full suite of bills that comprise the federal budget. Instead, Speaker Mike Johnson says he's trying to find a plan that would keep the lights on while they negotiate. But it's proving complicated to find a short-term plan that his Republican